Greetings, friends. Today, I'll tell you a thrilling story full of intrigue, betrayal, and dramatic twists. A story about a man whose name first surfaced in classified reports of the Leningrad counterintelligence in the grim autumn of 1943. A captured German agent, formerly a Soviet engineer, under the relentless pressure of interrogation, revealed several names of graduates from a secret intelligence school located in the picturesque suburb of Gachina, near Leningrad. He testified that the entire class consisted exclusively of Leningraders with higher education, carefully selected and methodically trained to manage the city's key enterprises after its intended capture by German forces. Among the names mentioned in this confession was Alexander Alfredovich Benet. This name became the key to an intricate labyrinth of investigation that we will navigate together. It's logical to assume that the search for information began in Leningrad itself. 3 weeks later, two men were summoned to the well-known building on Leideny Prospect. The acting director of the grim factory of the Theatrical Society, Adolf Grigorievich Pereltsvig, and the chief accountant of the same enterprise. Both were subjected to a thorough interrogation about an employee of the store through which the factory sold its products. Makeup paints. This employee was Alexander Benet. Every fact, every tiny detail mattered in this complex case. Pereltsvig, the factory director, informed the investigators that he was personally acquainted with Benet from 1936 to 1938. The grim factory regularly supplied him with its products. Pereltsvig knew nothing about Benet's current whereabouts, but shared an assumption that was widespread among the factory's employees. Benet had most likely remained in the territory occupied by German troops. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like this video to stay tuned for more captivating stories about World War II. Told from different perspectives, we strive to provide you with the most complete and objective picture of those tragic events. Further investigation revealed a very curious and possibly key fact. Alexander Alfredovich was seen heading to Gachina to his family shortly before this quiet town fell under the onslaught of German troops. The most intriguing part was that everyone close to Benet knew he was divorced from his wife, and they lived separately. What could have compelled him to suddenly go to her at such a convenient time? This question demanded an immediate answer and became another thread in the tangle of mysteries surrounding Alexander Benet. Both Pereltsvig and the factory accountant recalled another interesting detail from Benet's life. He liked to boast about his service in the Tsarist army as an officer. Moreover, during the NEP period, according to his own words, he owned a small but profitable shop, where he often invited acquaintances, assuring them that, unlike state-owned stores with their meager assortment, one could always find any product at his place. He also didn't hide his dissatisfaction with the Soviet regime, openly expressing his critical views. And in September 1941, when the factory accountant happened to meet him on the street, Benet was dressed in festive clothes and in unusually high spirits. He declared that he no longer worked at his previous job and that a new stage was beginning in his life. He was going to serve. Whom and where? This information remained a secret. Shrouded in darkness, soon, the persistent work of the Chekists bore fruit. A detailed verbal portrait of the wanted man was compiled. 63 years old, medium height, stocky build, blonde, though already noticeably thinning, hair, an oval face with a characteristic long nose and thin lips. He wore glasses when reading. These features, like pieces of a mosaic, were supposed to help in the search for the elusive Alexander Benet. After a month of intense searching, the counterintelligence officers had amassed a substantial dossier on Benet, including many facts from his biography and even several photographs. It turned out that Alexander Alfredovich had indeed served in the Tsarist army. He proudly emphasized his origins, stating that his grandfather was a Baltic German, and boasted to acquaintances about his achievement, the rank of colonel. But this was only the beginning of a story that became increasingly grim and ominous with each new discovery. With the start of the Civil War, Benet didn't just sympathize with the White Guards. He actively supported Denikin's army and his support wasn't just expressed in words. During the battle for Kharkov, Benay, holding the position of head of the Red Army's administrative department in the district, remained in the city during Denikin's advance and handed over to the White Guards the secret cipher used for communication between Red Army units. Moreover, he revealed the locations of Red Army units, dooming his former comrades to certain death. For this, he was accepted into Denikin's headquarters as an officer. He failed to evacuate from Odessa along with the White Guards. He was forced to go into hiding, living under forged documents in the name of Shevchuk. Like a ghost of the past, in 1922, Benay was arrested, but only for dodging military service. His White Guard exploits remained undisclosed like a time bomb. For a quarter of a century, he concealed his service in Denikin's army, harboring resentment towards the Soviet regime, and at the first opportune moment, he became an agent of German intelligence. At the Gachina Intelligence School, he was entrusted with the command of a newly formed Gestapo battalion. It was planned to bring this battalion into Leningrad immediately after the city's capture. In July-August 1942, Benay actively participated in the development of instructions for future activities. He proposed creating a card index of communists and responsible workers for their immediate arrest and trial. Benay pointed out to the Germans the need to quickly identify underground organizations and secret weapons caches, which, in his opinion, would certainly remain after the retreat of the district and city party committees. He was coldly and methodically preparing for this. Benay personally handed over to the school principal, Smirnov, a detailed plan to combat the partisans. This plan included measures such as the annulment of Soviet money to weaken the material base of the partisan movement, as well as the cessation of public executions for petty thefts to avoid turning the local population against the new authorities. He proved himself to be a cunning and calculating strategist, ready to do anything. To achieve his goals, Benay also provided the school principal with all the information he had about Leningrad, including the locations of air defense points, defense factories, and other strategically important facilities. In 1943, he applied to the recruitment committee of Vlasov's ROA. He was promised an appointment commensurate with his rank and merits. At the same time, Benay was training the head of the press department of the Gachina Intelligence School in propaganda methods aimed at supporting the new authorities among the population. He personally composed the text of leaflets calling not only civilians, but also Soviet underground fighters to switch sides to the Germans. On January 24, 1944, units of the Red Army were very close to Gachina, only 8 to 10 kilometers away, and the very next day, a powerful offensive of Soviet troops began, and battles flared up on the outskirts of the city. The enemy tried to transfer reinforcements to Gachina, despite the low cloud cover and difficult weather conditions. Soviet aviation came to the aid of the attackers. However, by this time, the search and reconnaissance group of the NKVD troops was already in the city, actively searching for Benay. A confident, authoritative knock echoed on the door of house number 34 on Solidukin Street. Hearing German speech from the street, the door was immediately opened, but seeing, besides the German gentleman, 2 other men in civilian clothes, Benay became visibly nervous, not understanding what was happening. The German carefully studied the homeowner. Then, in clear Russian, came the solemn announcement. In the name of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. Benay lowered his eyes, and the 2 men accompanying the German immediately grabbed him firmly by the arms. The state security officers had once again achieved victory in their invisible war, the war with the shadows. On January 29th, the first interrogations began. Benay feigned complete bewilderment and innocence. He swore that he had no idea about the presence of Germans in Gachina. He simply wanted to move his daughter, along with his son-in-law, from the village of Kuzmino, where she happened to be, to Gachina, where the family permanently resided. This version, of course, was unconvincing and designed for an extremely gullible person, and he swore that on September 18th, he knew nothing about the capture of the city by the Germans 5 days earlier. He claimed to have seen the first German in the village, And of course, he wanted to return to Leningrad. But the German soldier he asked for directions was very displeased and forced him to enter the house. And on the 19th, the Germans ordered everyone to leave for Gachina. All these explanations seemed like a pathetic attempt to wriggle out. The investigator, presenting more and more facts, as if tightening a noose, cornered Ben. He spoke only when he realized that his white guard past had been revealed and there was nothing more to hide. He told everything, naming the names of accomplices and describing their activities with cold cynicism and self-confidence. He spoke about the need to destroy communists and Komsomol members after the establishment of the new power, and about the important role that was assigned to him. His words were full of contempt for life and for his country. This was a man who betrayed his motherland for many years. Thank you for being with us on the channel. Don't forget to leave comments, like, and subscribe. See you next time.